Morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day, no matter where you are in the world, thank you for joining me as we officially launch our new and exclusive project, the One Residences in Leeds. As a business, we've been trying to find a suitable site and project in Leeds for over a year now. So we are super excited to have secured one of the last remaining sites in an area positioned just a stone's throw away from the city centre. This project, as you will come to see, is all about location, location, location. During the presentation, I will cover outlook for the UK property market and where Leeds sits within that mix, why Leeds is a great investment location from an economic perspective. I'm going to touch on the rise of build-to-rent schemes and why they are particularly important to our project, talk about the regeneration of the city, dive into that strategic location, introduce the developer, and finally showcase some of the units, price points, and deposit payments. So firstly, let's touch on why Leeds from an economic perspective. And if we look at its location in Yorkshire and the Humber, and we take a look at that economy, you'll see it's worth an estimated £150 billion, with Leeds alone contributing just over £60 billion of that 150, and that's grown 32% over the past decade, with absolutely no signs whatsoever of slowing down anytime soon. It's also the largest centre for finance and professional services outside of London and the second largest city in the UK for startup businesses. Over 25,000 businesses are currently active within Leeds, increasing year on year, and collectively hold a 1.4 million skilled workforce and is also home to some major well-known global corporations and brands. Lastly, in addition, the city is host to five major universities and boasts one of the UK's largest student populations with over 75,000 students growing every single year. So that combination of an increasing student population, an increase of businesses and workforce should act as a phenomenal tenant pool for anybody considering investing into property within the city. So if you are new to investing and you've never looked at Leeds before, or maybe you've purchased in another city, such as, Manchester or Birmingham, and you're just looking to diversify your portfolio. Hopefully, it's becoming somewhat clear already, certainly on an economic level, as to why Leeds might make sense. Now, the rise of build-to-rent schemes should give any investor a great insight into how the large key players see this market. A big combination of large pension funds, banks, and developers all building yet not selling units, but using them for the pure purpose of renting to the market and capitalizing on a strong yield and future growth is a clear tell that we are taking position in the right city and should give any investor that same level of confidence. And this, however, unfortunately, is one of the main reasons why finding quality sites has been difficult, is they do often get purchased by many of those larger institutions. So by investing into the One Residences, you are essentially aligning yourself with those pension funds, with those big banks, with those developers, and with some of the top investors within the country. Now, one of the key drivers for us when entering any market is to look at the regeneration taking place now or that's about to take place in or around a city, as it's usually a strong sign of an increase in future house prices as areas either get revitalized or completely rebuilt, a landscape gets changed, a city centre gets expanded, and positioned as one of the largest regeneration projects within Europe, you have the ambitious South Bank initiative, which will make a massive impact on the landscape. It's propelled by a staggering £500 million investment with a goal to double the size of the city centre. In addition to that, you've got a much needed £45–46 million being invested into Leeds train station, which is being delivered by the Leeds City Council on behalf of Network Rail. That will make access to neighbouring cities and beyond a lot quicker and a lot easier. So with everything that we've discussed so far, that regeneration, the dominance of build to rent, plus an ever-growing strong economy, it's no wonder why that Leeds sits in the top two regions touted for growth between now and 2028, with an impressive 28.2% growth expected within Yorkshire and the Humber. So now let's look at things on a more granular level, and let's start out by talking about the developer Hive Living. Hive Living has been created by two industry leaders. You have Gareth Morgan and Zach Wheatley, who, after long careers operating as chartered surveyors, consultants, and directors of large development companies, have decided that they want to do and believe they can do things better. As a collective, before launching Hive Living, they've delivered over 5,000 units across the UK, completed over 40 projects with a total of around about £1 billion. So the One Residences will be their launch pad for their new business. It will ultimately serve as a benchmark for their long-term ambitious growth plans. So if you are ever going to be involved in a newly formed development business, firstly, make sure it's being put together by industry experts. And secondly, where possible, try and get involved with that first project, that coming to market project. As for the developer, it's really the one that matters the most. As I've said, it will serve as a benchmark for future growth. Now, one of the main key aspects of the One Residencies, as we've touched on briefly earlier, is its proximity to almost everything anybody would ever need and want within a city. As you can see on the map, every major business which will cater to your tenant pool, your major hotel brands, shops, entertainment, and universities are literally just a stone's throw away from your front door. You're also going to have many professionals that live in Leeds that often work in other nearby regions, such as York, Bradford, and Manchester. So having the train station also only a 6-minute walk away from your front door is a massive advantage and will appeal again to that professional tenant. Now, if we take a look at availability, you can see a diverse blend of units from executive residences, which are presented as larger than the norm studios, as well as a good blend of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, some of which have stunning balconies and terraces. The commercial activation you can see on that ground floor is likely to be a combination of co-working space and coffee shop. However, we will look to see what's on trend at the time. Maybe by Q3 2026, we'll all be back working 9 to 5 in an office instead of the work from home or hybrid culture that exists today. I certainly hope not. The standard rentals, we believe, are going to fetch around about 5.7 to 7% rental yield. And for those of you looking at running short-term lets via platforms such as Airbnb and Booking.com, then I'm really happy to say that short-term lets are permitted. And, given the shortage of hotels and Airbnbs within Leeds, I would say that this is a location where that type of strategy could be extremely lucrative for an investor. The apartments will be delivered in Q3 2026. They'll be delivered with a 999-year lease, a full 10-year warranty, and a low service fee expected of just £1.70 per square foot. Here you will see a layout of one of the executive residences. Pay attention to that space versus what you would see in a typical studio with its own living, kitchen, and dining area, and an average size of 39 square meters. One beds on average at 43 square meters, with great space again for dining and entertainment. Your 2 beds at an average of 76 square meters, with 2 ensuite bathrooms, and some of those 2 beds having those kitchen islands installed. And finally, 3 beds at an impressive 81 square meters, some being delivered with really nice balconies and terraces. To get a closer look at the units, you can see in front of you some examples of those properties along with size, deposit payments, which will be 20% on exchange, some of the anticipated rental pricing and yields, which hopefully you can agree are strong enough to support an excellent investment case. So just to summarize, we couldn't be happier working on this project with great established developers in an ever-growing city that takes advantage of a site with such close proximity to Leeds city centre. I do hope from what you've heard today, you leave with as much excitement as I have for the project, and I would welcome you to reach out for brochures, floor plans, pricing, availability, or just to seek out more answers to questions that you might have. Thanks for watching and have a great day and a great week ahead.